What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for the second last match review of the season. It's Tottenham 0, Manchester City 2, which has all but handed Manchester City the Premier League title going into the final day or the final few days of the Premier League on the weekend. And
we sold our souls, and if it hasn't handed them the title, then that'll be embarrassing.
You know what? It was a crazy day yesterday. It really was. I didn't know how to feel when approaching the ground. I didn't know how to feel when I was in the ground. I kept turning to you, Zim, and I was just like, it's just too crazy. I don't know what to do.
Ray was frazzled.
Yeah, and I just kept saying that throughout the game, and it was just a weird atmosphere. Nothing I've ever encountered before. It's just hard to digest it, and it's hard to pick it apart. There's so many different kind of viewpoints coming out after the game. But when you were in the stadium yesterday, I felt like everyone kind of was of the same thinking, or the general consensus was of the same thinking, where there was a clear support for Tottenham and there was a clear support to keep Tottenham attacking, and when Spurs were doing good things, there were cheers and all this kind of stuff. But when Tottenham were to miss a chance, where usually it would be greeted by a bit of anger, it was just like the reality. It was just like everyone was just like, oh well.
It was a horrible feeling, to be honest. Like, I feel like I couldn't really enjoy it. But on the flip side, I wasn't getting angry when if things did go against us. I didn't feel like this sense of like injustice or frustration. Like, there was a moment I remember in the second half, Decky cuts inside, and on the edge of the box, he just floats over the bar, and it was a weird feeling. Like, I just didn't really feel any negativity. I was like, it's a weird feeling not to feel frustrated at this point, because usually at that point I'll be like, oh, come on, like, how can you not even get it on target or anything like that? And I didn't feel it. We were 1-0 down, and I didn't really feel that frustration. It was a really strange feeling, but it was horrible kind of watching that game. Not like when Tottenham went forward, and obviously when they had chances, every fibre of my being was saying, I want them to score, but my head was also saying, what if they, like, at the back of my mind, if they score, you know what it means. And there was a small part of me, it was like, it was just a really horrible, conflicting feeling, because all you want as a Tottenham fan watching your team is to win and to score goals and play well. And going into that game and watching that game and having that conflicting feelings in your mind was not something I want to go through again.
Yeah, I completely agree. As much as, like, I did have fun watching the game yesterday, all the hate for Arsenal coming out, the atmosphere was actually really good, and, you know, we were singing Spurs songs throughout, we were singing anti-Arsenal songs throughout. I don't like maybe the narrative coming out that Spurs fans were there just to support Man City, and Spurs fans were there. Look, I know we were saying City till July and all this kind of stuff before the game, but once you actually get there and the game kicks off, I felt like it was kind of different to what maybe we were saying before the game. We were happy by the end of it that City had won. We were happy by the end of it that Arsenal had not won the title. But there was a clear support for Spurs. And when you're there in the game and it's playing in front of you, it's hard not to just cheer on your own team, isn't it?
Of course.
And that's when natural instincts and natural reactions kick in. And look, I thought we played really well. Really good performance, particularly in the first half, second half as well. I thought we came out to play, and it was probably our best performance since the Aston Villa game.
Yeah, I think so. And the one thing that Ange changed up was he changed things up, I guess. He wasn't really stubborn with players being in certain positions. He actually came up with a game plan to try and combat what City usually bring to the table, which is obviously a high volume of possession, really aggressive pressing. So what he did was something very clever. He added a false nine into the equation. He kept Johnson and Son like kind of on the wings, but also they had more of an ability as well to maybe be a bit more central at times as well. So to add that threat in behind a bit more centrally. And then he added Maddison and Sarr kind of rotating that false nine kind of position, with Bentancur and Højbjerg backing them up. And it worked a treat. I thought we looked so great, comfortable on the ball. We were beating Man City's press. I wouldn't say comfortably, because there was a few times Man City did nick the ball off us, but I would say with regularity. A number of times we were beating their press and being able to play through them, playing some really lovely football at times. And I thought Man City, couldn't live with us with some of the football we were playing. I think it was the toughest game they've had in a while, I would say, Man City, how we approached it. And it was and obviously having Van de Ven at the back with Dragoshin there made us a lot more solid at the back as well. I felt a lot more secure defensively. I think obviously we did give up chances, but a lot of the chances were chances we gave them, especially the one early on from Højbjerg, which gave it straight to Foden. The one where De Bruyne at the right beginning of the first half, who was led from a Højbjerg again, just giving the ball away in a poor position when we're trying to build up our play. The goal comes from a poor pass, which Romero and then Romero doesn't win the ball off Foden, and all of a sudden we're out of position and they end up getting the goal. So I don't think they carved us open too many times. I think they obviously created chances, but I don't think they carved us open. And I think we actually, in possession, probably looked a bit better than them at times yesterday. And I thought I was really, really impressed with the difference in how Ange approached this game compared to some of the other games we've had recently. But it begs the question, why wait until this game to do it? And that's, I guess, the frustrating thing.
Yeah, definitely. And what I was most impressed about was how tight and compact we looked and how hard it was for Man City to play through us and how assured we look at the back. I thought Romero and Dragoshin as a back pairing yesterday, I thought both of them were exemplary. Both of them put on a massive defensive showing. Dragoshin with that header off the line. I know it was offside, but that was just something to behold. Romero, yeah, there was a couple of times that he did come unstuck during the game, but I thought all in all, the way he was being so aggressive up against Haaland, brilliant stuff. Van de Ven wasn't really playing left back, was he? He was kind of forming a back three at times, I thought, Van de Ven. So it wasn't like the classic left back that we've been seeing all season. No, it wasn't an inverted left back like we've been seeing all season. So in that way, it's tactical flexibility from Ange Postecoglou. And what I found really interesting was Pape Matar yesterday, because a lot of times in that first half, Pape was actually the furthest forward beyond Maddison, because we were all coming into it saying Maddison's playing the false nine. Or that's what it looked like when the team set up. And then for a lot of periods in that first half, it looked like Pape was playing the false nine. I couldn't really work out what was actually going on.
I think they were rotating to kind of. I think if you look at the average position, I think Maddison was still slightly ahead for a lot of it. But I think there was definitely times where Pape was higher. But what was frustrating me, especially about the whole Van de Ven thing, is absolutely great. I really like what he did with Van de Ven, and I think it made us a lot more solid. But his whole thing this whole season is, you know what, I'm going to play the way we're going to play. This is our system. I'm going to kind of shove square pegs and round holes, because if they can't hack it, it means they can't be here. And then I learn more about the players. And then all of a sudden, for this game, he said, actually, I'm going to adjust how we're going to play. Like, if he's been playing Emerson, why does he keep playing Emerson inverted then? If he's able to be tactically flexible like he was yesterday, why the whole season, whenever Emerson's played the fullback, he's played inverted, when we can clearly see he's not very comfortable in that position? Doesn't make sense to me. Why hasn't he maybe tried Van de Ven in this? I know he said before because he's worried about his fitness, but if he played this Van de Ven in this kind of hybrid left centre back kind of role, why hasn't he tried that beforehand, when clearly that's something that would massively benefit us defensively? Even with all our players fit, I think it would have benefited us trying something like that, because clearly we were way too open for a lot of the season. So I don't know why he's waited so long. So it doesn't. I just find it a bit frustrating that he's been very kind of stubborn throughout the season about how he wants to play, how he wants certain players to play in certain positions. And then all of a sudden it comes to this specific game. I know, obviously he's going to try and win. I'm not saying he shouldn't try and win this game, but I feel like he's making a point about this specific game to all of a sudden try his best to get a win, whereas before it's like, we're going to play the way we want, and whatever results we get. And in this game he's like, actually, I'm going to try and adjust the game so we get the result. And I thought that was pretty strange. Yeah,
it was peculiar, and you can't really put your finger on why that is. With the whole narrative come into it, you thought Spurs will just play the way we always play. He said that in the build up to it as well. We're going to play our football, and we'll give it a right crack, and we'll see what happens. And we changed it, and we changed it in a positive manner. But why hasn't he been doing that since the Aston Villa game? Since he's seen things go horribly wrong, particularly in when we losing to Arsenal, it was fairly good performance. But you look at the Chelsea game, you look at the Newcastle game, you look at the Liverpool game, all these games where we've got eaten alive, our defence has got eaten alive. And then suddenly we come into this game and we put in one of our best defensive performances all season. all season. We just looked so calm, composed, and even in the ball when we were in control on the ball, we just looked so calm and composed on the ball, didn't we, for the majority of that game?
Yeah, we looked actually a bit patient. Whereas I think for a lot of the season, we've been kind of unless we get the ball out wide, as we've been saying, we struggle to really hurt the opposition. But I felt like on yesterday we looked a lot more composed, a lot more patient on the ball, a lot more willing to have possession while also being able to hurt the opposition. Whereas I feel like a lot of the time this season, like the more possession we have, sometimes it goes against us because teams are able to nullify us. But I don't think that was the case yesterday. I thought we weren't rushing our play. We were actually being quite calm the way we were building up from the back, and I thought it was working quite well. Obviously, we did get caught out a couple of times. Man City, obviously the best team in the league, the best team in Europe, probably at the moment. So it's not going to be foolproof against a team like that. But I thought how we competed with them was really, really encouraging, and pretty much for the whole game, we were going toe to toe with them. To be fair, apart from maybe after we went 2-0, then it was pretty much game over. But before then, we were pretty much going toe-to-toe with them throughout the whole game, and it was really, really encouraging.
But the reality is, right, the reality is in the game yesterday, what the game was decided on was quality in the final third. We didn't take our chances. Kulusevski has that chance, good save from Ortega. Heung-min Son goes one-on-one with the keeper with 10 minutes to go. Good save from Ortega, but I think Son 9 times out of 10 is slotting those in the back of the net. Where, on the other end of the pitch, you know, mistake at the back, Haaland puts it in at the back post, good ball in there from De Bruyne and good build-up play from Man City, and then Doku makes a bit of a mockery out of Pedro Porro and buys a penalty. So that's what it was. It was clinical and, you know, quality in that final third, which I think was the difference between the two teams. Yeah,
and that's the difference, obviously, when you've got De Bruyne and Haaland there, and we just didn't have the players of the same level, unfortunately, and that is the difference a lot of the time between us and the top three at the moment, how they finish their chances and their ability in the final third to really make sure they take full advantage of the chances they create. And that's what we didn't do yesterday. But it wasn't for the lack of trying. I thought we created some really good openings. I thought as well, the changes Ange made mid-game were pretty good. He put Decky, brought him on and put him up front. And I thought that was a really clever move. And I thought he actually gave Man City a lot of trouble. He missed a couple of really presentable opportunities that he actually created for himself, and that was really encouraging, and maybe something we should see more in the future, him in that position, which is quite an interesting prospect. And I thought he made some really, really good mid-game changes. The only one that I doubted was why take Bentancur off, and I thought he was actually having quite a good game, and he seemed furious with that substitution. But
I can understand that sub though.
But
I really can understand.
He was playing well.
He was playing well. I thought he was one of our best players on the pitch. It's definitely his best performance since that Villa game at the start of the season when he had an amazing 20 minutes and went off injured from that Matty Cash injury. But Bentancur was running things in the first half. He got that booking. In the build up to the goal as well, he didn't challenge Foden because he was on that booking. So if these situations are going to arise, you've got to take him off.
Yeah, that's fair enough, I guess. But I wonder if he was frustrated himself or frustrated Ange with that reaction.
Look, I think in that moment in time, he's going to be frustrated with the whole situation, probably frustrated with himself, frustrated with Ange. But I think once the dust settles and he wakes up this morning and you know, looks at it objectively, he'll probably know it's the right decision. I'm not too worried about that situation.
Yeah, but I think all in all, in terms of the overall level of performance, I think we can definitely be proud, and I think Ange can definitely see progression in how we were definitely. I thought we were a lot better in this game than we were against Liverpool for sure. Definitely, I thought probably better in this game than we were against Arsenal a few weeks ago, even though we played well in that game. So we competed very well in this one. Probably, you could even argue we're probably better in this game than we were at the Etihad when we got a point.
Oh, definitely.
You can probably argue that. So
we created more at the Etihad, I think, but this was more of a team performance.
Yeah, and I as well. I don't think we gave up as many chances yesterday as we did at the Etihad. So I think we can definitely be proud. And even Ange said, you know, he was in the press conference, which we'll get into, he was asked right at the end, you know, were you disappointed with the application of the players? And he was kind of getting a bit angry at this point, you could see, and he said, why would I be angry? Was I watching a different game? You know, we went toe to toe with the best team in the country. Like, why would I be? Obviously I wasn't unhappy with the application of the players. So I mean, regardless of what else he said in that press conference, which we'll get into, like, that clearly shows to me that he acknowledged that we played well in that game and we are showing progression. And I think there were definitely signs in that game that we improve in a few areas, we could be a real force next season. And not many teams dominate Man City in possession, even at home. And I think it's only the second time the whole season that they've had less possession than their opposition. The only other time was when they played at Anfield. That's the only other game this season that they've not dominated possession. So I think the fact that we had so much of the ball, we looked so comfortable with it, created opportunities, I think is a testament to what a good performance and a really good tactical performance, I thought. Because a lot of the season, the narratives have been with Ange, he's tactically naive, he doesn't change it, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. He doesn't have a plan B. Well, yesterday he showed all those different sides to his game. So that was really, really encouraging.
Yeah, it's just a shame it was second last game of the season.
Yeah.
And everything that we were fighting for was pretty much gone. 1 point now secures our Europa League fate for next season at Sheffield United. Champions League's gone. But regardless of the result, regardless of what result we wanted coming into it, regardless of all the circumstances, I felt proud of the team yesterday, of the way we played, the application that we gave, how defensively solid that we looked, how compact we looked in midfield as well. I just felt like it was a completely different Tottenham performance that we've just seen for the majority of this season.
I completely agree. And especially second half of the season where performances have been very inconsistent, especially when we've played the better teams in the second half of the season. We've been well beaten, and we've looked a shadow of the team in that first 10 games, and we've looked lackluster, and off the ball we've looked horrific against Newcastle and against Liverpool. Looked horrific off the ball, just lack of fight, lack of aggression, not putting your body on the line, and that was all different yesterday. So I'm really happy about that, and I'm really happy that even though it was, as you say, a lot of the fans probably didn't even want to win yesterday. I was really happy with what I saw on the pitch in terms of the fight we were showing, togetherness, and the level of performance was a lot higher. And I thought it was really, really encouraging going into next season, that kind of performance. Obviously, what's not encouraging is we're probably going to go into next season off the back of, let's say we don't lose on Sunday, probably off the back of 5 losses in 7 games, which is not an encouraging thing. And the games that we haven't lost would be Burnley and Sheffield United, who are 2 of the worst teams. Sheffield United, one of the worst teams ever to play in the Premier League, and Burnley, a relegation team. So that is obviously something that's going to be a concern. But at least we had a performance to show, like, okay, if we can use that as a benchmark to go forward on, we can really build something here.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fans around social media, particularly, Arsenal fans are particularly salty after yesterday, particularly when Heung-min Son goes through on goal. The title is waiting there for them, and Son uncharacteristically doesn't put it in the back of the net. Even in that time, right, we're like, all right, goal, Son through on goal, and then he misses it, and you're just like, oh well, that's a big shame that Son didn't score. But it was I just take it back to the atmosphere yesterday, because obviously everyone knows what our opinions were going into the game. We were happy for Man City to win this game for the greater good. Nobody ever wants to see Spurs lose a game. We don't ever want to see Spurs lose a game. But there are always those particular circumstances that you just need to do something for the greater good. You just do. I don't care what anyone says. And I think the majority of fans in that stadium, or what I could tell from the atmosphere, were of the same thinking of that.
Yeah, to me it looked like, obviously, if there would have been big celebrations if Tottenham would have scored, you could see that in the ground as well. Everyone was getting excited when we were getting chances, and we were clapping any good play we were having. It wasn't as if we were oohing if Man City had a chance. You know what I mean? I think people are acting like people were singing City songs or anything like that in the stadium and proper cheering on City. It wasn't that kind of atmosphere. I understand it wasn't maybe the usual kind of atmosphere, maybe. I think it could have been, if it was an important game, it would have been a bit louder, and I think it would have been more general support for the team if under different circumstances. But I don't think it was an atmosphere yesterday as if we were actively cheering on City. It was more like, yeah, it wasn't. It was like if we missed chances, there didn't seem too much disappointment. It wasn't like people were like with their head in their hands when Son missed that chance. And when City scored, it was a very, very weird reaction when City scored, because no one seemed like frustrated with the fact that City scored, but there was like a 10 to 15 second just complete silence, like there usually is when you concede a goal normal, and then it was just like a normal reaction. And then after about 15 seconds like that, you just hear one fan go like, fucking hate Arsenal. And then all of a sudden, you got like a few hundred fans, maybe a few thousand fans standing up, and everyone kind of joined in the chorus of that song, and everyone like joined in. And then all of a sudden it became like, okay, we're losing, but we know what this means for our London rivals, and it was a chance to take a shot at them kind of thing. So it was a very, very odd atmosphere, not something I've experienced before at the Tottenham Stadium. And I have to be honest, when Son did go for on goal, I did think I had an audible "oh no" kind of moment. I was like, oh, like I think I actually said that. I was like, oh no, like because I thought he's definitely scoring here. But I said this before the game. If in this game, if we're gonna what's it called? If we're gonna stop City winning, we have to win, because a draw doesn't help us. So if Son scores that, it's 1-1 going to
win or lose.
minutes. It's win or lose. A draw would actually be self-defeating. There's actually no use to us in a draw. We get knocked out of the Champions League anyway, and we stop City winning the league. So I think at that point, maybe if we take the lead early, it would have been I think if I saw Son going through 1-on-1 in the first 10 minutes, I don't think I probably would have had the same reaction. But the fact that it was literally one of the last knockings of the game, it's only 1-0 to City. If he scores this, it's probably going to be a draw, and then we get the worst of both worlds, essentially. That's why I think I had a bit of an audible "oh no" when that happened. But unbelievable kind of poetic moment that is. It's one of those moments, one of those, in Premier League history, you just have these moments, I like the Aguero moment, like that Company moment, like Jamie Carragher was saying. I think this is going to, if Man City end up winning on Sunday, which they better, I think that will be one of those moments that goes down in Premier League history of like just a snapshot. Son going for 1-on-1, he could hand Arsenal the title, and he misses a chance he would 9 times out of 10 score. It's just one of those moments that will go down in history.
Give the man a mural now. Last night, Son became a true Tottenham legend, in my opinion. And I just can't take, like, when you talk about all these Spurs fans, like, do they not understand the rivalry between Spurs and Arsenal? Do they not understand what it is? They still sing about Arsenal winning the league at White Hart Lane. Like, if we would have given them the title yesterday, are they not throwing that in our faces for the next 20 years?
Definitely.
Of course they are. Of course they are. Are you not willing to give up just one game to stop Arsenal winning? Literally, Arsenal winning the league that haven't won the league in 20 years. The most unbearable fan base in the world. Instead, what we got is Arsenal fans losing their heads in Son missing a 1-on-1.
And we got a good performance. It's not like we completely threw it. Like, we actually played well. We showed what we're capable of. But like, I think for a Tottenham fan, that was probably the best outcome. So have a really good performance, show your potential, show what you're all about. But ultimately, don't give Arsenal the title.
I think that's
like the perfect outcome.
A lot of reasons to be positive after yesterday in terms of looking forward, what we can produce on a football pitch, the way we're going under Ange Postecoglou. I think there's so much to look forward to, really is. And I think yesterday showed that. And I just thought yesterday inside the stadium, the atmosphere that I experienced, maybe it was different in different pockets of the stadium, but where we were, I thought it was the most perfect blend between supporting the team and knowing the situation that you're in. Like, people are acting like we were singing Blue Moon throughout the whole game and all this kind of crap. Like, I was standing there like that on my feet singing, "Oh, when the Spurs go marching in," and "Stand Up If You Hate Arsenal." I mean, that was the main 2 songs that we were singing yesterday. Mm-hmm. So I think this overreaction after the game and today is a way too much, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I also, people like acting like we would have got top 4 if we would have won yesterday. Let's be honest, Villa just need a draw on the. I know they got a tough game away at Palace, but at the end of the day, if we would have won yesterday, Villa just need a draw on the final day to secure top 4. Unless Spurs beat Palace, I think 8-0. We beat Sheffield 8-0 on the final day. All Villa need is a draw to secure top 4. So you're talking probably like an under 20% chance, I would say, of Tottenham securing top 4, even with a win yesterday. So I think we've left ourselves too much to do anyway. I don't think I don't think a 20% chance of top 4 was worth giving Arsenal the league for. And for the whole season, I guess we'll talk about Ange in a minute, but Ange has been saying he's not bothered about top 4. So, and for me, as much as I do want Champions League, it's not the be-all and end-all. It's not something that I'm willing to hand Arsenal a league title just to get. And these things do matter, especially when we're fans. I understand the club have a certain view. Obviously, the club would rather Tottenham have a 20% chance of top four, and they couldn't give a shit.
Thing.
They couldn't care less if Arsenal won the league or not. So obviously the club's party line and Ange's party line is going to be one thing. But as a fan of this football club, where what fans all about is tribalism, banter, talking with your rival fans, having those conversations on a day-to-day, you being giving it to them and them giving it to you. That's what being a fan is all about. It's all about interactions with rival fans and how you feel about the game and all those snapshots in time. And as a fan of the football club, having Arsenal fans already singing they won the league at White Hart Lane, to us, and that's already bad enough. We can't give them more ammo. We can't allow them to have more bragging rights over us. And bragging rights, yes, it doesn't win trophies, but that's part of what being a fan's all about. And for me, if we can stop Arsenal winning the league for another year and then hopefully stop them enough for enough time where we can catch up with them, that's what we got to try and do.
Yeah. Look, it's ingrained in you from a young age, isn't it? The rivalry, the derby, Spurs Arsenal. It's an ingrained hate and rivalry from a very young age, and people have got to understand that. And when you look at the reactions of Arsenal fans when Son was through on goal, I was hearing from Arsenal fans. What was I hearing? Oh yeah, we're not even going to have a chance. I don't believe Spurs can get anything. I don't believe anything. City have won the title, blah, blah, blah. But when Son goes through on goal, they started to believe. And that is the best thing about yesterday. They started to believe. You look at all the reactions on social media. You look at AFTV. You look at a few of the other Arsenal channels as well. Just inject those reactions into my veins. I loved it. I loved every second of it. So please, I think we should get a few of them up because they were absolutely brilliant. So just inject those reactions into my brains.
Twitter, so I guess
inject them.
Reacts.
Give me those Arsenal tears because you guys started to believe. You started to believe for a few minutes just to get it all snatched away from you once again because you bottled the title last year and this year Tottenham have taken it away from you. So just inject it. But let's talk about Ange. Yeah, exactly. Let's get into Ange's comments because... it was a crazy press conference, wasn't it? It was only lasted 5 minutes, and for the last 2.5 minutes of it, he went on a bit of a tirade.
Ali Gold described it as the most explosive press conference since Conte.
Yeah, well, there hasn't been many explosive press conferences since Conte, but look, he was very angry, and look, what were the words he said? There's a fragile underbelly to this.
He said, the last 48 hours have shown to me that the foundations here are... Because he was asked about, does today show you the foundations that you're building? Because obviously it was a really great performance. And he said, well, the last 48 hours have shown to me that the foundations here are very fragile. Yeah. Inside and outside.
And look, I can understand where Ange is coming from in terms of what the fans were like in the stadium, what the narrative was coming into this game. I can understand where Ange is coming from because where Ange is coming from, he's a manager. He's paid by the football club. He's paid to win games. He's paid to get us as high up the pitch as possible. Yeah, I know we probably couldn't have finished higher than we're going to finish this season in terms of where he's left us at this stage. But I can understand where he's coming from in terms of he thinks all the fans and everyone should be in the same boat and everyone should be cheering the team. And I think we were to a certain extent, but it wasn't the same atmosphere as it has been all season. So I can understand where he's coming from. But on the other hand as well, I felt like he went a bit too far in that press conference. I don't feel like he should have. I think he's given everyone the ammunition, I think, for this mad reaction that we're seeing today.
Yeah, I think it was a bit over the top. It was a bit too much because clearly, I mean, I don't know how else he wants fans listening to have to read into it. He's clearly taking a shot at the fans who wanted Spurs to lose yesterday. He clearly said in the last 48 hours, it's been shown to me how the fragile foundations. And the only thing that's happened we haven't played a game. The only thing that's happened in the last 48 hours is a lot of Tottenham fans obviously saying about how we don't want to give Arsenal a title, would rather lose this game and all that kind of stuff. The only thing that's interesting, he said inside and outside the club. So I do wonder what he's indicating when he says inside the club. Is he talking about some things that have been said inside the club? Is there a general feeling? Maybe some players have been joking about losing the game because of what the fans have been saying and he hasn't liked those jokes, even though, if they're not to be taken. I'm just hypothesizing what it could be.
That's kind of what I took from it. I felt like there would have been a narrative from in the club saying, oh, Angela, you can't be giving Arsenal the title, even though if it was probably a bit tongue-in-cheek and they don't actually mean go out there and lose the game. But he knew what was riding on this. Everyone in the club knew what was riding on it, and everyone outside the club knew what was riding on it. And I think that a lot of people would have spoken to him about it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was seriously suggesting we throw the game, but maybe there were a few jokes being had or something like that. Maybe just a few flippant comments.
Yeah.
And he kind of took that to think, are they actually, listening to what's being said outside and listening to what fans? Because we should have I guess the point would be there is you should be so focused on winning, you shouldn't be listening to all that noise. And the fact that if he hears comments being made around the dressing room or whatever, does that mean there's too much being filtered into them and that's getting into their heads? And you only have to be 1% off it, and that makes all the difference. I think Barnaby makes a good point. I mean, when he's obviously, I'm sure Son doesn't go through 1-on-1 intending to miss that chance, but is there even a 0.5% thing in his head thinking, if I score this, Arsenal are going to win the league? And does that put him off even slightly? Who knows? I mean, I wouldn't completely rule it out, because all that noise, that's been for the last few days, if that's been filtered, even if a tiny bit is in your head, that can put you off on this, and that can affect you, especially in such a big moment like that, if you're not 100% focused on getting that ball in the back of the net and winning the game. So I do wonder if that's what he's suggesting when he says about inside the club. But when he says outside the club, obviously he's taking a shot at the fans, and I'm sorry, but I don't appreciate that comment from him, because I feel like him saying that basically lacking respect for how the fans feel, even though he's consistently said, I'm not going to tell the fans how to feel and all that kind of stuff. Essentially, when he's saying the last 48 hours has shown there's a fragility. Well, where was this kind of comments when we're on this losing run? He doesn't say this when after the Newcastle game, after the Fulham game, after the Chelsea game. He doesn't say about a lack of fragility and about the foundations. He keeps saying, oh, it's all about what we're building and all the kind of stuff, the performance level, the results, aren't so significant at the moment. It's all about that we're building foundations. And it comes to this specific game where we could actually hand to Arsenal the league, and all of a sudden it's all about we need to get a result in this game, and it's all about the foundations are fragile now because a lot of fans don't want Spurs to win this game. And I thought it was lacking respect. Why he's kind of picked this hill to die on, that if fans don't want Spurs to win this specific game, even though it hands their biggest rival their first title in 20 years, then there's a there's a big fragility within essentially the fan base. And to be honest, I don't think he's completely wrong, but I think he's wrong to kind of call out publicly like he is, because it is true that the fact that we're in a position where we want Spurs to lose does kind of show where the club is at the moment. And that is a big problem, of course. And I completely agree with that. That is a problem that we're in this position. But we're in this position because how we've been in the last 2 months, essentially. We're in this position as a club because we've been pathetic for the past 2 months. We've been absolutely shocking on the pitch.
5 years.
Well, yeah, okay, last 5 years. But I'm saying more specifically, and where he has to take accountability. We wouldn't have been in this position if in the last month or so we had picked up at least one result or something. The fact that we haven't means we're in this position where we've got pretty much nothing to fight for. He himself has said top four is not even important. It's about the progression on the pitch, which we did see yesterday, progression on the pitch. So if top four is not important, and you've been banging that drum for the whole season, why do you expect Tottenham to want to basically give Arsenal a title for a 20% chance of top four? Why should we want to give that up when you yourself saying it's not important, it's all about progression on the pitch? And we saw that yesterday. So why shouldn't we be happy with progression on the pitch and also not giving Arsenal the title? And then he's having a go at the fan base for saying we have the foundations are fragile based off that, when he didn't say that over the last month, when we've basically given up we haven't shown an ounce of what we showed yesterday on the pitch when the pressure was on to get results. But all of a sudden, this specific hand Arsenal a title, now is the time you come out and say it's fragile, because a lot of Tottenham fans wanted Spurs to lose this game. I just thought it was wrong for him to go over the top in that. And I think it's given a negative kind of spin on yesterday, whereas we should be kind of praising the performance and he should be proud of what he showed. And instead he's going on at the fans because of the circumstances, which is not in our control. It's not in our control, the fact that if we lose this game, if we win this game, that Arsenal win the title. It's a very specific set of circumstances, and he should have been a bit more sensitive to that. He didn't have to go over the top. Yeah,
I completely agree. And like I said before, I think it has fueled a lot of the reaction that we've seen last night and going on to today. But what I would say about Ange and those comments as well, he did say after those comments that the fans have been great this season. The fans have helped them in times of need in the latter stages of games. He's talked about, particularly at home, the way we've kind of never given up and supported the team throughout. So I think at this stage, Ange is onto a good thing. We've got a good relationship here. He wasn't happy with the fans and the way we were coming into the game and in the stadium, which is fair enough. I can see where he's coming from, but he's also got to see where we're coming from as well, in terms of not wanting to give your arch rivals the title. So I think at this stage, everyone's just got to put water under the bridge and move forward and forget about these comments. I'm happy to forget about them if we can just move forward and keep building what we're building, because I don't think all this negativity and letting it fester and keep talking about it and criticising Ange and Ange criticising us and all this kind of stuff is not going to help anyone. We just need to forget about this, move forward now and keep progressing the club.
Yeah, agreed. It's not something I'm going to hold against him. I didn't appreciate the sentiment of what he was saying. I think what he was saying was right a lot of the time, but I just think he went over the top, and I think he could have just said, look, something along the lines of it's also obviously difficult circumstances. We tried our best to win. I understand fans have conflicting feelings, and I did feel general support amongst the fans yesterday. But we'll hope to create a winning mentality at this football club. But the way he put it, as if to say like this is like basically, you're the problem essentially a lot of the time when he's saying the foundations are fragile. He's basically calling out the fans for being a problem, and I don't know why he had to go that far. I don't think maybe it was just an emotional reaction, maybe it was just in the heat of the moment. I think I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that front, but it's not the fans' fault that we've lost 5 of the last 6 games. It's not that they're our fault. And the fact we've given ourselves nothing to play for, they have to take responsibility for that. And the fact that the only outcome of us winning essentially is going to be Arsenal winning the title. So that's not the fans' fault. That's the players' fault and the manager's fault for how we've played over the last couple months.
And actually, whilst going through these bad runs, the bad runs at the beginning of the season as well, after the injuries and stuff,
supportive.
Our support has never wavered throughout the season, in my opinion. Away ends are always full, the stadium's always full, songs are always being sung, Ange Postecoglou's name is always being sung. So actually, the support from the fans, I think, this season has been nothing short of incredible, particularly about the runs that we've been on and how actually poor we've looked since the turn of the year.
Especially since April, or since the Villa game, we've been horrible performance. And none of the fans are really calling for Ange out or have wavered on that front. And we've been very, very supportive of the direction the club is going. We appreciate what Ange is doing at this football club in terms of how the football we're now playing. I'm not saying he should be happy that some fans wanted Spurs to lose.
But just let it go.
But yeah, there's no need to publicly call it out, and there's no need to make a big thing out of it when he knows the rivalry, he knows what it means. So I think he should have been more understanding of the situation.
And everyone talks about small club mentality this, small club mentality that, yeah? You're telling me he was at Celtic, right? You're telling me if Rangers and Celtic weren't in the same situation, it won't be exactly the same what happened yesterday, if not worse. You're telling me if the shoe was on the other foot and Arsenal had to beat someone to stop us winning the league, the reaction wouldn't be the same, if not worse. Come on. This is just a natural thing in football. I'm sorry, but it is.
And hopefully next season we won't be in a situation where we are hoping for these things because of what we're doing. And hopefully that mentality does get instilled in the team. But I don't think how some Spurs fans reacted to yesterday was a kind of a evidence of the mental. And I think he's completely right in terms of what he says about the fragility of this club.
We've known that for a long time.
This is not new to us. This is something that previous managers have called out. It's something we've been saying for a very, very long time. That's completely right. And even when he talks about the fan base, I think he's not even wrong in that sense, right? Because I do think a lot of the fan base overreact to certain things. I think a lot of the certain parts of the fan base are impatient when it comes to waiting for success and going for the rebuild and things like that. And I think that isn't wrong in what he's saying. I think he is correct. But I don't think yesterday was evidence of that. I think yesterday was just a completely one-off scenario, which happens once in a once in a blue moon, and I don't think yesterday was like the evidence of what he's suggesting of this fragile mentality, because I think most clubs in that situation, in that very specific scenario where we've virtually got nothing to play for, and if we win, we don't really benefit from it. But if we lose, if we win, we don't benefit, but we hand Arsenal the title. But if we lose, you know, we're pretty much in the same situation anyway. But Man City will take the title off Arsenal. Then that's a very, very specific situation which you're not going to encounter many times. And yes, I want Tottenham to win every single game. I want to watch my team, and my mentality is I want to win every single game. But it's a very specific one-off scenario. And if you can't understand that situation, and also the fact that our recent very, very poor form has put us in this situation where this is all we've got to basically hope for the rest of the season, then I think you have a lack of understanding, rather than saying the fans should be hoping whatever the outcome that Spurs win. I mean, this is basically, if you can concoct a scenario where you'd want Spurs to lose, this is virtually the only scenario it would be, and this is what happened yesterday. So it is what it is. I'm willing to look past it. I'm willing to move on, and hopefully, I think Andrew will probably see his water on the bridge as well once we get going. But he did seem extremely angry yesterday, and he said, but what an interesting thing he said was he has to change some things, and he has to, you know, do things in a different way based off what happened. And it's just like, what is he alluding to?
Yeah.
What does he have to do differently? It's very, very odd.
Your guess is as good as mine for that one, because I thought that was a very strange comment. Because if he is only talking about the fans, then what could he do differently? I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
Clip, well, I mean, everyone's got their own narrative. What happened between Spurs, that Ange and that fan, or supposedly a fan in the crowd? I mean, I don't know if there's been any more context added to that.
Yeah,
clip.
there has been a bit of context added to it from what I'm hearing. And what I'm hearing is that this one fan that was sitting behind him the whole game was just screaming at him throughout the game, literally throughout the game, singing, "Ange, throw the game! Ange, throw the game! Ange, throw the game!" And apparently he was singing a couple of Man City songs as well, and then Ange just snapped, basically.
If that's the case, then that fan should have been chucked out.
Yeah.
You know, I don't agree with that at all. I don't know. There's one thing, you know, hoping maybe not being impartial to your team losing or whatever, being happy Arsenal are going to win the title, but shouting things at Ange to throw the game, that's just ridiculous. And the fact that he was allowed to do that for the whole game before Ange snapped was a bit much as well. He should have been told to either shut up or you're getting kicked out. And if he was allowed, I find that hard to believe. He was just allowed to shout at Ange so near him for the whole game.
That's what I've been reading about. It might not be true, but that's the narrative forming around it.
Do people who said that?
A few people were saying they were sitting around that part of the stadium, and that's what happened.
If that's true, that's ridiculous. So I understand Ange snapping, but that situation should have been easily solvable.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a ridiculous situation.
All right. Well, I think we'll leave that at that. That is our match review for the game yesterday. A lot to digest there. A few super chats that we're going to get into. First one from Jacob Bannister saying Ange's comments were very concerning in the post-match. Well, we just covered that. Jaden says Ange didn't get mad when we bent over for Arsenal. And yeah, that's what Sim was saying. You know, he didn't get mad every time we were losing 4 on the bounce. Or 3 on the bounce, whatever it was. And Andrew Dean, member for 13 months, says, I'm with Ange. He's right to call out the weak mentality. Everyone should focus on our own progress/success instead of worrying about other clubs. And maybe we can focus on our own progress and success if we actually had something to fight for. Like, top 4 is pretty much gone.
We do focus on our own progress, and the fact that we went toe-to-toe with City is very, very encouraging, and I am happy about that. And I'm happy, like, I saw one comment before said, Sim, why are you happy we played well? You didn't want us to play well. I never said I didn't want us to play well. I never once said I didn't want us to play well. I just didn't want us to win. And those are two very different things. And we got that. We played very well and we won. And I'm very encouraged by how we played. But I don't think winning yesterday would have made a difference in terms of our progress. I think the performance was what mattered, and that's what Andrew's been saying the whole season. So I don't understand why he's made a whole big thing of it. Anyway.
Let's move on and let's go on to player ratings. We're going to start off with Big Vic, who I thought was brilliant yesterday. Sim gives him an 8. I gave him a 9. He was sensational, wasn't he? That one-handed saves, 2 of them, one from Foden. I can't remember who the other one was from, but what unbelievable
Doku right at the
save.
end.
What unbelievable saves he was making. He kept us in it time and time again and just showed why he's one of the best shot stoppers in the league yesterday.
Yeah, I thought he played really well. I thought some really impressive reflex saves and really good shot stopping, which he has shown all season. Obviously, from set pieces, we didn't look as vulnerable. I think we may be doing things a bit differently to help Vicario as well. But obviously, those saves from Foden, from De Bruyne, both one-handed saves, phenomenal. Stood up really well for Doku's late chance. Obviously, the goals couldn't really do much with them. So, really strong showing from Vicario.
Pedro Porro up next, sixes all round. I felt like, he got absolutely sent to the cleaners for the penalty, didn't he, from Jeremy Doku. Brilliant stuff there. Well, not brilliant stuff, but, he should have done a lot better, Pedro Porro, in that moment. I thought actually from an offensive standpoint, it wasn't as good as maybe we know that Pedro Porro can produce, but I felt like what he did do well was those little passes to get us in the transition, to set us on our way a number of times. So it was a bit of a mixed bag for me from Pedro Porro. Defensively, I thought he was okay. Offensively as well, okay. So yeah, I guess I gave him a 6.
Yeah, I thought he was decent. I thought for the majority of the game he played pretty well. Yeah, I thought he actually had Foden pretty on lock for a lot of that game, and I thought Foden failed to really impact the game. I thought Porro was playing really well, but obviously Doku came on, gave him a lot of trouble, and it was a poor moment from him, gave away the penalty. So that was a shame, but I thought in general he was decent, but not maybe at his best, so I gave him a 6.
Cuti Romero up next. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him an 8. I thought Cuti, look, he did have his flaws in the game in terms of the pass out the back. It was like a block that went straight to a Man City player when Vicario made that brilliant save in the early stages of the game. Maybe he could have done better as well for the first goal that we did concede. But I think apart from those couple of moments, I thought he was brilliant, being so aggressive up against Haaland, being the Cuti Romero, which we know and love, foraging up the pitch as well, and part of a dynamic duo at the back that really helped us keep City out.
Yeah, I thought he was so aggressive. I actually thought Haaland, we know Haaland doesn't usually get involved in the game anyway. What he does is he finishes off the moves, and that's how he becomes effective. That's what he did. But I thought in general, he kept Haaland quiet for in general play anyway for a lot of that game. I loved the way he just gets so involved in the attacks, and he really is proactive, and I thought that was really, really positive for us when we were getting on the front foot. I was pretty happy with him, but I did feel like he let himself down a bit for the opening goal, so I only gave him a 7.
Dragushin up next. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him an 8. I thought he was brilliant. Best performance in the Spurs shirt by far for me, Dragushin. Playing on the left of centre-back as well. I don't think he put a foot wrong for me the majority of the game, and he looks such like a strong, bloody centre-back, and you're looking at some of the moments where that physicality really shone through for Dragushin. There was that one header off the line which did end up being offside, but that just epitomised his performance, to be honest.
Yeah, I thought really, really strong performance from Dragushin. I was really happy with him. There was one moment, I think it was it led to Foden's chance early on where he misplaced a pass quite badly in the centre of the pitch. But other than that, he was looking really confident. He was getting involved in quite a lot of duels and getting on top of them as well. I thought he was really impressive, and it may just goes to show we maybe should even play him more. I know he had a really poor performance against Fulham a few weeks ago, but I thought this was a lot better, and hopefully this gives him confidence to start playing more.
Mickey van der Ven up next. Him gives him a 7. I gave him a 6. I thought he was good, but it wasn't like the standout Van der Ven performances that we have seen this season, albeit he was playing a different role. He started at left back, but it was more kind of like he was kind of reverting into kind of a back three. He didn't invert like maybe a Doggy, Emerson and Skip have been doing in the past couple of weeks. But look, I think it was a sure display, but nothing kind of spectacular that we saw from him.
Yeah, I did feel like a lot of their joy was coming down that side offensively. I thought Kyle Walker was getting into all sorts of space down that side a lot of the time, and if he was a bit better on the ball, he maybe would have punished us a bit more. But I did feel like defensively, when he was asked to be in a duel, he was pretty confident, he was pretty good. Didn't get forward too much like he did maybe against Burnley, where he was got into a few situations. But I thought he was decent. Again, I didn't think he looked out of place at left back, but obviously he looked a bit more comfortable at centre back. That's all I would say.
Pierre-Emile Højbjerg up next, 6s all round. I mean, it started off with a classic Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, didn't it? Slicing it up in the air, and that's what culminated in Vicario's mad save in the first few minutes of the game. I did think he grew in the game after that. He was a real reason why we were so compact and aggressive in the middle of the park. He was winning duels. He was spraying the ball about as well with his long balls, which I thought was fairly impressive. But there was just those sloppy moments from Højbjerg that kept creeping in. I think a number of times, 2 or 3 times, there was really bad sloppy moments in there from Højbjerg, which put us under massive pressure.
Yeah, and obviously there was that moment for Foden's chance, which he takes a wild swipe. There was, I think, for a moment for the what was it? The opening? No, there was a moment for the De Bruyne chance right at the beginning of the second half, where he's trying to build up from the back, and again we're playing really nice football, and gets to Højbjerg, and he just sloppily gives it away, and Man City create a chance. And I think this is the epitome of why Højbjerg is just not going to be good enough for us, because when the play gets too quick and he's asked to play very quick football and have a lot less time on the ball, he struggles to really keep up. I feel like when he's got the ball in a bit of space and he's got time to spray it and play it around, he can be quite effective. But in Ange, the way Ange wants to play, he wants the players to make quick decisions, have little time on the ball, be very accurate at their passing, and Højbjerg lacks of that. But I did feel like there were some moments where he was quite good, and off the ball as well, he was quite good. And when he was given time to spray passes, he was quite effective. But when he was asked to make quick passes, he's found wanting.
Let's go to Pape Matar Sarr. Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 7. I was quite impressed with Pape. I thought it was his best performance in the out of the last couple of weeks, where I think he's let himself down a bit in terms of sloppy passing. There was a couple of those in there, but the energy levels that he was putting into this game, the positions that he was finding himself in, false 9 at times, deep 8 at times, he was literally everywhere, causing Man City midfielders, he didn't give them a second on the ball. He was providing such a presence in there, and another reason why we look so compact in the middle. I don't think he did anything flashy or anything really good going forward, but I just felt like he helped us keep our shape and made us really hard to play against.
Yeah, and he was covering so much space, so much energy. I thought he was doing some really good stuff, rotating Madders in that false 9 kind of role and keeping Man City guessing. Could have done a bit better when he did receive the ball, but I thought his movement was really effective in just drawing Man City players out of position, and he was moving them all over the place, and that he was finding lots of spaces in the Man City's in their defensive third. So that was really encouraging, but unfortunately wasn't able to really make the most of it.
Next up is Rodrigo Bentancur. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him an 8. I was super impressed with Bentancur. Best performance of the season since those first 20 minutes in the Villa game. He looked fit finally, in my opinion. The first half, I thought he was one of our best players. The energy levels he was putting into it, his ability on the ball, I thought was so good. He was getting us up the pitch. He had that shot in the first half as well, which could have gone in on another day. Really good effort that Ederson was equal to. He did get taken off early in the second half, and I think it was probably the right decision from Ange, because he was on a booking and he was not making those challenges which he was making in the first half. So it was unfortunate to him that he did get that booking, but a really good display from Rodri.
Yeah, and I think he's getting better and better. I'm thinking with Bentancur, and I thought on the ball he's looking silkier and he's looking more confident on the ball. And a few times, the difference between him and Højbjerg is just when the ball fizzed into Bentancur and he's asked to make a quick decision, he can do it with good accuracy and good quality. And I thought he was doing that many times. He nearly scored right at the beginning of the game with a nice left-footed effort, which was saved by Ederson as well. I thought he had a really solid performance, but yeah, he obviously got breezed past for the opening goal by Foden, and if he wasn't on the yellow, he probably takes him down. So I think that was in Ange's thinking when he did take him off. So that was a shame, and you can see his reaction. He was very frustrated with it, but I'm sure we're going to see the best of Bentancur next season.
James Maddison up next, 7s all round, and I think in the last couple of games you're really starting to see James Maddison get into his flow again. It's a shame it is the second last game of the season, but his off-the-ball work yesterday was absolutely tireless. How many times did he win the ball back? How many duels was he winning? He was so aggressive. Again, a bit like Pape Sarr, he was just everywhere. He was in the false 9 a bit, he was deeper in the midfield a bit, and he was causing Man City no ends of problems in that sense. I did want a bit more from him on the ball, but it was a step in the right direction in terms of he was trying to dictate the tempo of the game at certain times. So definitely a positive performance from Maddison.
Yeah, and I thought he really thrived in that role where he's He was asked to basically play a bit false nine, rotate with Sarr, float around a bit, pick up awkward positions for Man City, and I thought they really struggled to deal with him, and I thought he created quite a few openings for Spurs on the day. Unfortunately, he didn't get into too many positions where he was able to score or get a shot on goal, but when it came to being that creative hub of the team and just buzzing around the place, being a nuisance for Man City, he got fouled a few times as well in good positions. I thought it was a really, really good performance from Maddison and a lot better than in what he's shown recently, so that was really encouraging.
Brennan Johnson up next. Him gives him a 7. I gave him a 6. I thought it was just similar to what we have seen from Brennan Johnson recently. You know, a lot of energy, a lot of running, a lot of effort, but a bit of a lack of quality in terms of his final ball. There was one really good moment when he wins the ball high up the pitch where Son goes through on goal. But yeah, I mean, it just showed in terms of the quality that they had in their front line, the quality that we had in our front line, and Brennan Johnson was part of that.
Yeah, I feel like Brennan actually gave Gvardiol quite a tough time down that right-hand side, and he was quite threatening for a lot of that game. Obviously, he set up a chance for Son right at the beginning of the second half as well with a really good ball, which was a classic, you know, the staple Brennan Johnson ball across the face of goal. And this time Son was at the near post instead of Richarlison, and he couldn't finish it. Obviously, he did really well to set up Son for that chance right at the end as well. I think he set Decky up for a chance. I thought he was actually getting a lot of joy down that right-hand side. I think he set up Bentancur for that chance as well right at the beginning of the game. So I thought he was stretching Man City. He was actually hurting them, and it was probably one of his better displays against one of the top teams where a lot of the time he's looked a bit lackluster, but unfortunately just couldn't provide that effective moment where he did get the goal or assist. But I think it wasn't without the want of trying. He did set up a lot of opportunities and probably was unlucky on the end not to be on the end of at least one assist.
Heung-min Son, 6s all round for Sonny, and yeah, I mean, look, energy levels are always there with Heung-min Son, and I think what it's going to come down to with this game is the 2 big chances that he did miss. And obviously the one way he goes through on goal, you back Sonny to score those 9 times out of 10. He didn't put it away, which, you know, kissed Arsenal the title goodbye. So I'm not going to be too downhearted about it. But usually, you know, Sonny is going to put those away every single time. So it was a bit weird why he didn't. But yeah, it wasn't the greatest display by Sonny, but it wasn't a terrible display by any stretch of the imagination. He was making the right runs all the time. Yeah,
obviously he had our 2 best chances, one right at the beginning of the second half and one near the end, where on another day, someone would have probably buried both of those, but it wasn't to be on this occasion. Obviously started on the left-hand side, and I thought when he was out wide in those positions, I thought Kyle Walker dealt with him fairly comfortably. I don't think he had much opportunity. Again, I thought his biggest threatening moments when he was a bit more central and he could, you know, find a bit more space, run beyond the Man City backline, and that's where he got a couple of those opportunities. So he did okay. Wasn't his, but was a bit out of the game. Wasn't his best display. Wasn't really threatening on the wing as much as Brennan Johnson was. So I only gave him a 6.
And the only sub that we are going to rate is Dejan Kulusevski, who came on and moved up front in the false number 9 role. Sim and me both give him a 7. And he just gave us a different option up there, didn't he? He was a physical presence. He was creating chances for himself. He as well had 2 big missed chances on the day. But what I liked about him is how he was putting himself about, how he was giving some Man City something completely different to think about than maybe what our other forward options were. So I thought it was the most positive display from Decky we've seen in a while.
Yeah, and I like that new position. I liked him playing a bit more central in the kind of striker / false 9 kind of position. And I thought physically he was actually giving the Man City defenders a real run for their money. A couple of times he was able to bully his way past a couple of Man City defenders and get chances, and he'll just be disappointed that he didn't make those chances pay. The first one was played into by Brennan Johnson, took it past one defender and then bullied his way past another, and then his shot was saved by Ortega. The other one, he looked second favourite to get the ball, was able to muscle Ruben Diaz off the ball, to cut inside, and could have maybe pulled it back, decided to shoot, go for the near post, and another save from Ortega. So some really promising moments there from Decky, and he was a bit of a handful in that position. So I think profile-wise, there's no reason why he can't do a job there. So I want to see more of him there.
Ange Postecoglou, 7s all round for Big Ange. I thought he managed this game really well, to be honest. He made tactical switches that he hasn't made all season. Formational changes as well. Van de Ven, instead of inverting as a left back, he was kind of like an out-and-out left back and pressing into a back 3, which I thought worked really well with Dragoshin, left centre back, and Romero. I thought they defended so well. In terms of the changes he was making with Pape Sarr and James Maddison, the way they were rotating and working with each other, I thought was brilliant. And I thought the changes as well that he made throughout the game really worked for us, bringing on Kulusevski, giving Mikey Moore. We didn't even mention Mikey Moore, 16-year-old, his debut, which is the third youngest player apparently to play for Spurs after Devine and there was one other player in there. I can't remember who it was, but yeah, unbelievable to see Mikey Moore get his debut. Scarlett, that was it. Yeah, it's incredible to see him get his debut at home to Man City. What a moment it must have been for him. So, I thought Ange managed this game really well, but like I said before, the key difference here was the lack of quality for us up front and the quality that they had up front. But we gave Man City and we gave the champions-elect a big run for their money yesterday and a massive game for them. So you've got to give them credit for that. Yeah, and I felt he made some really good changes. It was one of our better tactical games for a while, I felt, in terms of changes he made for a specific game to, tactically compete with the opposition. I thought it worked. I thought playing the false nine was a really great move. Van de Ven at left back was a really great move. Bringing Decky on, playing him central was a really great move. All things that really positively impacted the game. I thought he was unlucky that we missed key chances in big moments that could have turned the game and probably could have got us something out of the game. I think when you look at the balance of play, you'd be hard-pressed to find a fan who didn't think we probably at least deserved a draw out that game. I thought we were very much worthy of something. We were just very unfortunate that we couldn't take advantage of the chances we created, but I thought he managed the game very well, made positive changes, but unfortunately it just wasn't enough on the day. Yeah, and another thing you've got to give him credit for is just how calm and composed we looked in possession when we did have the ball, particularly in the first half, and how compact we looked in the midfield and the defence for the first time, probably since the first 10 games of the season. You've got to say that. So, yeah, massive credit to Ange. It's just a shame about the comments after the game. Let's move on. We're going to go to the 5 takeaways and then we're going to go to reacts. And then we are opening the lines because we want to hear from some fans out there about all the situations going on yesterday. But we do have a super chat from Eric Berry saying, I love Tottenham and this channel. These brothers' analysis is always spot on. Cry more Arsenal. Ha 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 ha. Son is a beautiful player and has become even more legendary after yesterday. Well, thank you very much for that. Thank you for the super chat and the support for the channel. Love it. Legendary status for Son confirmed. 100%. Get that mural painted, Tottenham. Exactly. But let's move on to the 5 takeaways. We're going to take a look at 5 things to take away from the game. 2-0 loss to Manchester City. And the first one is new formation. Yeah, and Ange definitely changed things up a bit yesterday in terms of how we set up. Obviously, Van de Ven played in kind of a left-back, kind of centre-back kind of hybrid, more of like a back three kind of thing. We played a false 9 as well with Maddison and Sarr, kind of rotating the central areas, dropping into midfield and adding the extra man. And it led to a very accomplished performance on the ball. And in fact, it was only the second time this whole season that Man City have been out-possessioned, essentially. The only other time being at Anfield earlier in the season, where they did also, they got a draw in that game and were lucky probably to get a point. But it just goes to show the potential of this Ange Postecoglou system and this team, where he can turn up against one of the best teams in Europe, adjust his system and dominate the ball and actually look really good with the ball in terms of how we were creating chances and how we were hurting Man City as well. I think we outpassed them as well, which is one of the only times Man City have been outpassed over 90 minutes. So that was really, really encouraging. And I think it's definitely shows to me green shoots for next season when it comes to how this team can progress. It was unfortunate that it didn't quite click in terms of getting the win yesterday. But definitely this kind of new formation is something I would like us to see in a few more bigger games maybe. Yeah, absolutely. And, people have been saying it, everyone's been saying, I don't think anyone hasn't been saying it in terms of the way Ange Postecoglou can adapt and if he can adapt his formation, if he can adapt style of play. And I think he did that yesterday. A shame it comes too late in the season where, there's nothing much left to fight for. But there is signs in that game to look forward to for next season in terms of, Ange says he wants to go for a title race. I still think that's going to be a bit too far for us going to next season, but it's definitely going to show different avenues where we can play against different sets of teams. And it's just a shame that he hasn't shown that throughout the season. Number 2, we're going to go and look at Dragushin impresses. Yeah, and a first start for him, I think, since Luton at home, where I thought, obviously had a fairly okay game there, but
didn't really impress too much on his first couple of starts, but I thought he came in this one and really showed a really good side to his game, and against a really, obviously one of the toughest oppositions, I thought really impressed on the day. Made 4 tackles, 2 interceptions, which is more than anyone else on the pitch. Won 6 of his 8 ground duels, won 1 out of 1 aerial duels as well. Competed really well, and you've got to remember he's still only 21. He's so young for a centre back, and still learning his game, but clearly he's got a lot of potential. He didn't look out of place whatsoever playing centre back next to Romero. And Ange said after the game, it's fair to say, looking at Dragoshin, how he played yesterday, that if he was available for us first half of the season, we probably would have been in a different position. So it's a shame we didn't get that centre back in earlier, but I thought it was a really accomplished display from Dragoshin. Yeah,
can't agree more. I couldn't agree more. I think Dragoshin really impressed me yesterday, because I don't think we've seen anything close to those levels from what in the last couple of performances, or the only couple of performances he's had in a Spurs shirt. And this is against the toughest opposition he has played. So, he just needed a bit of time, I guess, to maybe get to grips with the Premier League, get to grips with the way we like to play, get to grips with Ash Postecoglou, and maybe his counterpart, his defensive counterparts as well in building up that kind of relationship. And I thought we saw that yesterday. And when you're looking at a reason why Dragoshin hasn't played more over the past couple of weeks, particularly since Udogie's come in, you can't really make a case for it, because since you go Van de Ven left back and Dragoshin centre back, which we've all been calling for, or some people have been calling for a while. I mean, after seeing that display, it's just like, why didn't you try that before?
Yeah, and that's the only annoying thing, but very encouraging going into next season. Hopefully he gets more game time and we can see more level of performance like we did yesterday.
Yeah, let's move on to number 3, and that is Maddison shines in new role.
Yeah, and I thought him playing this false 9 role really was helping bring the best out of him, and he seemed to be a lot more all action in this one than he has been in recent weeks, and I thought he was really, really impressive. He had 4 key passes, more than anyone else on the pitch, but was also very combative in the centre. He won 7 of his 8 ground duels, won 2 tackles, 2 interceptions, and also won 4 fouls for the team as well, which is more than anyone else on the pitch and getting us into decent position. So I thought Maddison had a really, really strong showing, and it was back to one of his better performances, I felt.
Yeah, and I feel like these Maddison performances have been growing in the past couple of weeks, particularly the last game against Burnley in the second half, and now this game here. You're really starting to see Maddison I wouldn't say get back to those levels of the first 10 games, but definitely get out of the rut that he was in post-injury. So it's good to see him get back to full fitness. It's good to see him up those performance levels, but I still think he's got so much more to give and so much more levels to go. So that's just the exciting thing about James Maddison. Let's move on to number 4, and that is Decky up front.
Yeah, and Decky obviously came on 55 minutes and played a new role, and this was central striker, which we haven't seen him play that role before. We've seen actually him prefer Brennan Johnson in that role to Decky, but I thought Decky came on and actually provided a different kind of threat, was able to hang on to the ball, was able to take it with his back to goal, and also create a few chances for himself, which he did on a couple of occasions. And another day, he could have had 2 goals. He did miss 2 big chances once coming off the bench, and I thought he was a nuisance for Man City. He actually threw his weight around a bit, used his physicality. I thought they actually struggled a bit with his physicality on a couple of occasions where he looked second best to get the ball and was then end up getting it. So I thought that was really, really encouraging. So I'll be interested to see if Ange uses Decky in that role going forward.
Yeah, I think he should, because he gives us something that no other player in that we are going to play up front can offer. He's just that pure physical presence, that much more physical than a Richarlison, more than Sonny, more than Maddison in that role as well. So I think he did it to a really, really high standard. He was creating chances for himself. Man City couldn't really deal with him at times when he was in full flow. So I love that performance from Decky, and I've been heavily critical of Decky this season, and that was a massive step in the right direction. And maybe I've been asking the question, where does he fit into this squad? Where does he fit in an Ange Postecoglou system? Well, maybe we've just found it. And let's move on to the 5th and final takeaway, and that is Europa awaits.
Yeah, and after yesterday's defeat, obviously that does confirm Aston Villa will be playing Champions League football next season. Tottenham will not be in the competition, and we only have basically Europa League to confirm. It's not quite 100% confirmed yet.
We need a point.
We do need a point, but we do either need a point, or if Newcastle and Chelsea both drop points in midweek, then also we can.
Are Man U out of it?
Man U out of it. Man U and out of it, yeah. if they could win the FA Cup, but that doesn't mean they take it away from us.
Yeah.
They take it away from sixth. So both Newcastle and Chelsea drop points in midweek against Man United and Brighton respectively, then we'll have it confirmed without having played a game. If they both win, then we're going to need a point on the final day against Sheffield United just to make sure, because Chelsea and Newcastle both have superior goal difference to us at the moment. So if we were to lose, in fact, we could finish as low as 7th, because if we were to lose and Chelsea and Newcastle were to win both their games, then we would finish 7th. If we were to lose to Sheffield United. But
I mean, surely we ain't losing to Sheffield United.
well, yeah, you would like to think not. But so we'll wait and see what happens. But Europa League is virtually confirmed at this point.
To be fair, at Tottenham, we only just about scraped past Sheffield United.
We did only 2-1. Yeah, you're right.
No, but I can't sit here and think we're gonna drop points to a Sheffield United that's already down.
We could technically miss out on Europe altogether if Man United.
We need a point at
Cup.
Sheffield United. We ain't missing out on Europe, surely.
If Man United win the FA Cup and we finish 7th, that would be we wouldn't.
No
do
Europe. Yeah, because 6th will be Conference League.
Wow, imagine that.
Yeah, I just can't see it happening.
No,
I got to believe that ain't going to happen. But that is your 5 takeaways from the game yesterday. We've got a couple more super chats, both from Eric Berry. Very generous of you, my friend. Thank you very much. The first one said, the prospect of those annoying insufferable Arsenal fans being ecstatic today if we had won would have been soul-crushing to us. It would have been torture for years. And then he also went on to say that also these Arsenal fans saying they wouldn't have done the same in our position is complete BS. And of course it's complete BS. When we were in the Champions League final, what were they saying?
They said
what were they saying?
Rather lose the Europa League.
They would say, if we had a choice, if we could lose the Europa League, so that means you lose the Champions League final, we would take that every single time. And AFTV were doing these interviews, right? Every single person that came on after that Burnley game, Arsenal-Burnley game, said that exact thing. So don't talk to me about small club mentality. If the shoe was on the other foot, don't get it twisted. It would be the exact same thing.
I don't even know if I agree with that though. You know, like would I rather Spurs lose a final than Arsenal win their final? I don't think I agree with that. But this is different. We had nothing to play for, so I think that's even more spiteful than what we did.
Yeah, potentially. Except for theirs was hypothetical, ours was real life.
I know, but I'm just saying. I don't. If you gave me a choice, lose our Europa League final and Arsenal lose their final, or we win ours and Arsenal win, I think I'd rather just win the Europa League and get another European trophy.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. All right, the lines are open once again, so after we go through reacts, we will be taking calls, but let's go and see how the internet did react to the game, and let's have some fun, people. Billy T says, Son missing the most Son chance ever to end Arsenal's title hopes is the best thing imaginable. I will never forget this moment. It was literally the most Son chance ever, though, wasn't it?
It was just surreal how it played out. Literally, Son had the chance to give Arsenal the title. The title was right there, that one-on-one opportunity. And it was very uncharacteristic of Son how he took it, which is a bit of a lack of confidence. Didn't kind of catch the shot as well. But you just expect Son to bury that. And if you're an Arsenal fan, you're thinking, oh my God, I'm about to watch Arsenal, get in the ascendancy here in the title. And to have him miss was quite something. It was a very weird feeling in the stadium watching him go through 1-on-1 and kind of part of me just not wanting him to score, but a very surreal moment, just one of those classic Premier League moments, I feel.
Kayla says, one big family, and look at these pictures from after the game of the Spurs and the Man City players. I mean, what was going on there?
Not sure. Maybe Spurs got the memo. Maybe they were happy. I don't know. You see it after the games, a lot of players.
This was a bit over the top, though. Maybe,
I don't know. They've taken a few snapshots. I don't know what the.
I saw the videos of these snapshots, and they did look all very pally after the game.
Yeah, I guess you would have thought from a player's point of view that they've lost that ability to win Champions League. They would be a bit more upset about it, I guess.
Yeah. Anyway, Jake says, personally, if I said I don't care about top four, mate, every week, and then the fan base stopped caring about top four for one match to ensure our rivals don't win the league, I wouldn't be terribly shocked.
Yeah, and I think Anne shouldn't be terribly shocked about the whole situation. I just feel like he's just taken it a bit too, I don't know, he's just taken it a bit, I wouldn't say too much to heart, but I don't know, I feel like it's almost like he's offended, but the fans would want Spurs to lose, I feel. He's like offended on behalf of the club that we're in that situation. But yes, to understand sometimes this situation where fans and the club aren't completely aligned, and this is one of those.
Yeah. Oliver Holt says the Spurs fans who cheered City on tonight got it spectacularly wrong. If Spurs had won, they would not have been mocked as they feared. They would have been held up as an example of the very best of sport. And I'm sorry, but if you have that opinion, you are well out of touch. Well out of touch. If you think Spurs are not getting mocked for literally handing Arsenal the title, losing 4 out of your last 5 games and then beating Man City at home to hand Arsenal a title, that is getting mocked. I'm sorry. That is getting mocked.
Oh, I mean, I'm sure he's probably right in terms of, I don't think he'll be mocked by a lot of the other fans, but from Arsenal fans, it definitely will be, and that's the main thing. And I think it will be just something to be ridiculed where we can't seem to buy a result, and then all of a sudden we turn up against Man City where all is lost and we can hand Arsenal the title and we can give it to them. That would be definitely something to mock. So I think he's completely wrong. I'm sure there will be a lot of people, pundits and fans saying, credit to Spurs for not letting that affect them and getting a really great win for their team. But I think the majority would be mockery.
Yep. AC, nice one. Sonny says, considering the fact that there isn't a single pic of these two together on the internet, this video comes as a shock. And he's talking about the embrace of Pep Guardiola and Heung-min Son after the game yesterday.
Is Pep tapping him up? I hope not. But is there not a single picture of them two together? I didn't know. Has that ever happened? Because Son has hurt him so many times. So you would have thought there'd be something, but that's quite interesting.
I do think you've seen stuff like that with like Sonny and Klopp as well, and he's notoriously scored against Liverpool too. So.
Yeah, true.
LFC Fraud God says, Spurs fans singing, "Are you watching Arsenal? This has got to be the most hilarious banter ever this week. Credit to them."
There you go.
That's someone that understands.
Someone gets it. Someone understands it.
This is one. It's in Korean. It says, Haaland asked Son to exchange uniforms. So, yeah, Haaland wanted Son's jersey after the game.
And Haaland was like, you did it on purpose, didn't you? This was on purpose, don't lie. You can tell me.
T.Y. Jenner says, Bissouma got the memo.
Do you reckon that was on... Do you reckon?
I don't know what's going on here.
He's wearing a light blue.
Oh.
He's wearing light blue. Surely that's not an accident, is it? That must be the most coincidental accident of all time. But surely he didn't purposely turn up in light blue as a representative of Tottenham.
How many Spurs fans did you see in
light blue
so Spurs shirts yesterday?
Yeah,
and the half and half scarf guy must have made a killing yesterday.
I love it, but I was watching a TikTok and there was this Arsenal fan, and he's like, he's reacting to one of a Spurs fan who was wearing a 125th anniversary shirt.
Yeah, I saw that,
and he was like, I can't believe he's got this custom made. He was like, mate, it's a real shirt.
I saw that.
Calm down. He does no idea.
But then afterwards, when people started to tell him it's a real shirt, he says, "Yeah, but the point still stands." I was like, "What are you chatting about?"
Sorry. What's more unlikely here with Bissouma? He did it on purpose, or he just a complete coincidence?
I don't know.
I don't know which is more likely.
Yeah, I don't know. I personally think it's a coincidence.
It must be.
But I rate him if it's not.
What do you think, chat? I want to know. Anyway,
it's got to be a coincidence, surely.
Surely.
James Harris says, I am deadly serious when I say that miss has secured Heung-min Son's legacy forever. He scored that exact chance about 100 times. Build the statue. And this is what I was saying after the game. I didn't say statue, but I said mural. And I think everyone's saying it, to be honest now. It's like that missed chance has literally secured him legendary status forever.
If it wasn't there before, 100%.
Jamie Carragher responding to Ange's comments in the press conference yesterday, and he says, this is to do with the reaction of supporters tonight in the stadium and being asked about the team's commitment beforehand. Ange and the players did their job and should have got the draw, but what did he expect from the fans? Arsenal fans would have been the exact same in that scenario. Exactly,
and I think he's absolutely spot on, Carragher. And Carragher said before the game, I'm not surprised that Spurs fans don't want to win this game. And, if I think a lot of fans in that position, he said, growing up with understanding the rivalry between Everton and Liverpool is very similar, and he probably wouldn't want the same. So I think Ange should have been more understanding of that and not gone over the top. I understand he might be frustrated, but to publicly go at the fans like that is just unnecessary. And I think it just creates negativity and creates headlines for people to cling on to and talk about. And I don't know if it was the wisest move for him to do that.
Flav says he's chimed in on the situation. He says, obviously glad that Arsenal are in a worse position going into the final day, but that was no way to watch your team play. I never want to experience that again. And I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah, 100%. As much as, before the game, we wanted whatever result. I really hated what I know there was a bit of enjoyment and sticking on to Arsenal, but I didn't enjoy watching that game in that manner. It was a hard watch, and it was a weird feeling. I felt like a pit in my stomach throughout the game. So hopefully that never happens again.
Yeah, I know. I was just so confused throughout the game. Like, half of me was like willing Spurs to score, then the other half of me was like, no, we can't give Arsenal the title. City got to win this. Before the game, I was like completely full in. City have got to win this. City have got to win this. But then when you're there, it's just like you just get confused, don't you? You just don't know which way to go. But I think we all got what we wanted in the end. Arsenal not going to win the league. We got a really good performance from the team. Next up, No Context Tottenham have given us this bit of gold from AFTV yesterday. Let's whack the volume up on this and let's give this a watch. This Turkish Robbie and Lee Judge is absolutely fuming when Son goes through on goal.
They're accusing him of doing it on purpose. Absolutely love it. Oh, drink it in, people.
Inject that into my veins.
Oh, poor guys. Poor guys. They thought they had the title right there. You could see it in their eyes.
That's it. You give them a little bit of hope and you snatch it all away. Andrew Gaffney says, bit of childish reaction from Ange for me. I'm sure, like the Conte rant, some will say he's giving home truths, but we've had to smile through some diabolical performances during this rebuild, not to mention his brushing off of set-piece woes and lack of improvement with them.
Look, I don't think I'm not sitting here complaining that we've played badly at times this season. I understand that, but I just think in this crucial run-in that we've had, we've all been desperate for us to win games against the likes of Liverpool and Arsenal. We've all been so bad, and Chelsea. We've all been so behind the team, so behind like getting results, and we've been shocking. We've been terrible. Not even look like getting results. We've been so lackluster. And then we've put ourselves in a situation where we've got nothing to play for and we could hand Arsenal the title. So don't blame us for you putting us in this situation. Now I'll say, okay, well, don't give Arsenal the title then. And all around you're turning around saying, well, you should want us to win. Well, I've wanted you to win in the past 6 games and you've shown absolutely nothing.
I've literally wanted you to win every single game since the last game of 1999 season.
Exactly. And you've shown us absolutely nothing. So, yeah. That's what it is at the moment.
Simon Iamene says, by the way, Son is right behind Mohamed Salah here in 7th, and I can't imagine him not having a better season next year. Do you think Son's on for a better season next year?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised, because I think once we have more players around him who fit the system and will create more chances, I wouldn't be surprised if he has an even better year for sure.
Yeah, I think so. In a more settled structure with a bit better attacking players around him.
I'm just hoping, I'm really, really hoping we manage him in the Europa League, but don't start him every bloody week in the Europa League.
I don't think we will.
Because if we do, I can see him getting burnt out, and that's not what I want to happen. I'm worried that we will, to be honest. I am worried, unless we sign players that can replace him.
When you're talking about players that are come in the forward line, do you reckon yesterday with Mikey Moore is a sign of something to come, or do you think it was just trying to give him his debut, like maybe what Jose did with Dane Scarlett?
I mean, he didn't do it against Man City, Jose, did he? But
we were 2-0 down though, and
Alistair Gold has just said that he believes that Mikey Moore will be going to Australia with the team and to Japan and Korea. So I guess we'll take a closer look at him and see. I don't know. I mean, I can't sit here and say we're going to be having a 16-year-old be giving regular game time.
But maybe Europa League.
We'll have to wait, and I guess we'll have to see how he performs in the pre-season.
Yeah. Danny says, Ange is getting a little bit techie tonight. Anyway, no drama, mate. City win the league. All good in the hood, mates. We're in the Europa League. See you at Sheffield. And this is obviously the clip where Ange was... having one at that fan that was going on at him behind him.
What did he actually say?
I don't know, I couldn't hear it.
I'm trying to gather what he says. He says, what did you say, mate, just so I know who you are? I do wonder what he was responding to. Does anyone in the chat know exactly what he said? But it was that that wasn't nice to see, I have to say.
Yeah, 100%.
Watching that video, that did get me a bit worried. Like, oh my God, are things between the crowd and Ange turning? I do hope it was just a one-off, incident and a flashpoint where tensions were high. I don't know what the score was at the time, but watch him boiling over like that, and watch him like that, and then watching him like he was against Chelsea, he does seem to be losing his cool a bit recently.
Yeah, it's true, and there's a narrative saying once you see managers start to do this kind of thing, it usually spells the beginning of the end. Do you feel that way? That we're at that point?
No, I mean, I don't think we're at that point yet. I think things are still going okay. I mean, obviously, recently, you could definitely point to that narrative because the results have been bad, and Ange seems to have lost a frustrated figure. But I wouldn't go as far as to say we're at that point yet.
Yeah. Tom Garrett says these Arsenal timeline tiers are bigger than I ever expected. You're aware it was in your own hands most of the season, right? Nobody other than you to lose the games at home to Villa and West Ham.
Well, there you go. Arsenal only have themselves to blame. Can't blame Sonny.
Did Arsenal bottle it again?
Of course.
They won like 18 of their last 19 games.
Bottle jobs.
The European lad saying Pep Guardiola after Son was about to score, which would have crushed Man City's title dreams. He actually fell to the floor, didn't he?
Unbelievable reaction. Fantastic, but didn't quite. Thank God for him that Son missed. But it was reminiscent of when Sterling had that goal ruled out and he dropped to the floor. Quite different. He does like dropping to the floor against Spurs.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. Nathan Clark posted this picture on Twitter last night. Do you know what that's a picture of?
Well, so it's so basically back in 2000 and something, 2007 or something. Lazio were playing
Inter Milan,
and.
To stop Roma winning the league.
Yeah, and basically they lost, and they put up a sign saying, "Oh no," essentially, because they also wanted to lose, similar situation.
Yeah.
And so he's basically done a reference to that with Spurs losing yesterday, which was quite funny.
Yeah, exactly. So we're not the only ones.
No, it's not unprecedented.
Zeus says, never forget Mugs. AFTV tweeted out last night, great team, come on you Spurs. Theo Walcott, let's go Spurs. Eduardo, I don't know who this guy is, but he says, let's go Tottenham. And Kai Havertz as well, obviously famous for that post-match interview when he says he's going to be the biggest Spurs fan. You reckon all the Arsenal players all got together and watched the game last night together? 100%
they did. No, I reckon they were ready to post celebrations and stuff if Tottenham got results. So.
Do you reckon they had the cameras when Son was going through on goal?
100%.
Release the footage, Arsenal. Release the footage.
But now they know what it feels like to have Tottenham let you down. Now they know.
To be fair, they've had it. They've tasted it a couple of times.
Have they?
Back in '99 and the early 2000s. Berbatov Cocktail says, throwing the match while playing City off the park is an impossible needle to thread, and some of you still don't believe Ange is that guy.
He did it exactly. He did exactly what he needed to. Very specific set of circumstances. Play well to show promise, but don't win. Yeah. That's exactly what he did.
Another one of the AFTV meltdown yesterday. Let's move on and let's look at this Curtis Shaw meltdown yesterday. This was even better.
They're not even
Curtis Shaw after the game.
Absolutely phenomenal.
They can't get near the ball.
His head, the Curtis Shaw head loss when Tottenham.
Here we go. Here we go. Suns 101. Suns 101.
I love it.
Rip it all off.
You fraudulent clown. You missed on purpose, you're a cheat.
He couldn't hack it.
Can't do it.
He could not hack it.
I'm surprised he didn't rip his shirt.
He said Son's cost Arsenal the league in 4K.
Cost us the league title in 4K.
Absolutely love it.
He missed on purpose. He's missed on
this was a brilliant mock-up yesterday. Tottenham tears of Odegaard taking a picture of Son going one-on-one.
Absolutely love it.
AJ Tracy tweeted this out yesterday.
See, AJ's all of us, I think. AJ gets it. Come on, proper Spurs.
This next one that we can't show anything. This is Fuad saying, stop by my biggest hater's funeral just to make sure their hopes are dead.
Big up Fuad, 100%. Is he with the City fans? No, he's just next to them. No, it looks like he's sitting with them. He does got the light blue on, though. He does have the light
Everyone
blue
had light blue on yesterday. Tottenham tears, Tottenham 0, Man City 2. And Ange Postecoglou.
I love it.
If only Ange was actually like that yesterday.
Imagine he was like, it was a big shirt. He goes into the dressing like, come on. Imagine.
Chris Miller says, I don't think that this could have gone any better, really. We've seen a genuinely impressive tactical approach, some fantastic individual performances, Moron for his debut, might even get the win on XG, but ultimately have lost. The stuff of dreams.
Exactly. And this is... Chris Windy is a very level-headed Tottenham fan. He ain't like one of these fans who's like, goes over the top with things. And even he knows that we wanted to lose yesterday. And I think he's absolutely spot on with that tweet.
Yeah. Hotspur related, hang it in the Louvre.
100%. I'm going to get this picture framed, I think. I'm going to hang up in the studio.
Oh, God. James Ollie says, Postecoglou on what he's building at Tottenham. The last 48 hours have revealed the foundations are pretty fragile.
Yeah, we've gone through that. And I guess our video of this was in the ground.
You scroll down a bit.
And this is actually what the reaction was after City scored. So you can see it here. This was like a few seconds, a bit of silence. It's all a bit awkward. And you hear like one fan break into it. And all of a sudden, everyone joins in.
Yeah.
And you can see like, all right, you can enjoy this moment a bit. You can see Davina there. I think it's Lily White Rose there. Absolutely love it. And all of a sudden, there you go. You can enjoy the moment a bit of sticking it to Arsenal. Why not? Why not?
Craig Pankhurst says, whoever has done this should never be allowed a season ticket again. And this was actually in response to a tweet that came out before the game, because apparently there were quite a few Gooners in the...
I think we could see in the stand, there was always this commotion in the stand, wasn't there?
In that there was... Apparently, Brains was telling me, down where he was, an Arsenal fan tried to start Stand Up If You Hate Tottenham.
Really?
Yeah, and he got chucked out straight away.
Well, obviously.
Yeah, I was like, what, why, how...
There was actually, I don't know if you saw it, there was a video of a Tottenham fan celebrating City's goal and getting chucked out.
Yes, I've seen... I didn't see the video of it, but I've heard a few different scenarios where Spurs fans actively try to sing Man City songs and celebrate the goal like it was one of our goals, and Spurs fans just putting it on them, basically.
Well, all I saw was there was a Spurs fan who was celebrating a City goal, and then there was another Spurs fan who confronted him about it, saying, if you're going to do that, get out, all that kind of stuff. And the stewards actually chucked him out, the Spurs fan celebrating. So there was a bit of tension, I guess, it was fair to say. But yeah, apparently there was a few Arsenal fans. I mean, I know in the South Stand, there was quite a few moments where there was commotion between the stewards, and it seemed as though they were chucking people out. I'm guessing it's because they were Arsenal fans. That's what people were saying. I didn't actually see it for myself. All I saw was there was definitely commotion with stewards in moments in the South Stand. Everyone was standing up looking at what was going on. So I think there were a few Arsenal fans there.
Yeah, spent all that money. A cost price ticket yesterday was over 80 quid.
Exactly.
So spending all that money just to see your team lose. Or your team title hopes diminish in front of your eyes. Love it. A few super chats. Jory, Ange is right about the fragility of Spurs. He just forgot to include himself. He is now the most fragile of us all. You need to prove yourself. You need to prove yourself, not the fans.
I mean, he's right. It is on Ange to prove himself and give fans a belief and everything.
We're done, Sammy, by the way, with reacts.
He is right. I don't think he's fragile, Ange, but I do think he's kind of got this wrong. I don't think he's read the room correctly in how he's reacted to what has been going on over the last 48 hours.
I felt it was an emotional response, though, last night. It was very emotional, where if he had his emotions in check in that moment in time, I don't think he mentions it.
Yeah, maybe just frustrated with the defeat and, it boiled over on that sense. But I don't know if is he the most fragile? I don't know if I agree with that. I think he's very, knows what he wants, I feel. And hopefully in the summer that's what he gets. But I do wonder, I want to know what the chat feel. What do you think Ange is saying when he says, maybe I have to do things differently? And the past 48 hours have shown me I have to do things differently to how I thought I was going to do them, essentially, is what he's saying. I want to know what the chat feel like he means by that, because I can't quite work out what he's trying to say there.
Yeah. Artist T saying someone asked him to throw the games. Obviously, that was in response to your question, saying, what did the guy say? But we're actually asking, what did Ange say? But that's that. Lazy 8 saying, as divisive as the situation has been, it will go down as one of the most fascinating looks into the nature of football fandom, support and rivalry in recent years.
Definitely. It was very much a litmus test in terms of one of those situations that very rarely happens, and how fans react. And I think we got our answer by and large yesterday. I don't think it was as bad as... I think Ange is even going over the top into a lot of the reaction, because I think most fans were there supporting the team, but it was just when we were behind, we just took the opportunity to stick it to Arsenal, and that's all it was. But I don't think it was a case of people actively going there to support Man City. So I think that from that point of view, it was a bit over the top. But yeah, it is what it is, I guess.
Real Nate 7 says, after this game, do you think players will want to move to Spurs with how the fan base has been? Fan base divides. It never is. Fan base divided is never good.
Nah.
I mean, do you reckon, we're going to go for X player, let's say Santiago Jimenez, for example, right? And he has a phone call with Ange, and then he goes, great club, going to go for Champions League next season. Project looks really good, playing really nice football in a progressive way. Oh, but that game against Man City, look at the atmosphere of that game. Why would I join that club?
No, I don't think it means it. It was
ridiculous.
It's going to be forgotten about, come the summer. It's one of those things that happened. I'm sure Andrew will probably address his comments in the press conference against Sheffield United, and then it'll be water under the bridge.
Back in 1999, when this happened, again, when we wanted Man United to win, we went 1-0 up. We ended up winning 3-1, and Spurs fans, wanted Spurs to lose at that time. The reason why it's not flaring up like it is now, first of all, because the manager didn't make crazy comments about it, and second of all, social media. Social media makes this a whole massive thing where it doesn't really need to be.
Mm-hmm. It's not a big deal, all right? We got nothing to play for. It is what it is. That's the reality of the situation. Again, as I say, if we had something really big to play for, or something like if we could have sealed top four, or actually given ourselves a realistic opportunity of getting top four with a win, I think it would have been very different. I don't think you would have had the reaction that was yesterday. The fact of the matter is, the best outcome yesterday was us losing because we didn't have much to play for. So that's the reality.
And you heard what Les Ferdinand said on the situation. He recently spoke about it. He said that he went 1-0 up. He's the one that scored. And he said that could have been the worst mistake in his career if he ended up winning the game.
Yeah, exactly. So he also kind of understood what the situation was even at that time. So for me, I don't know. Let's see what people calling him got to say about it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we're going to get the callers on now. So if you want to have your say on this topic, then come on. The link is in the community section. We're going to go to our first caller called Ez. What do you want to be called? I'm not too sure. But let's go to Ez.
How you doing? Ez is fine.
How you doing, Ez?
Yeah, all good. Thanks. How you doing, boys?
Yeah, all good, man. All good. Arsenal ain't winning the title, so always brings a bit of smile to my face. Were you at the game last night?
No, I wasn't. I was watching it at home with the old man.
And what was your kind of feelings before the game? What did you want the outcome to be?
Before the game, obviously, I wanted City to win. Obviously, I don't want Arsenal to win the league, especially my brother's an Arsenal fan.
Oh, sibling rivalry, I like it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, during the game, every time we were shooting, I was kind of getting excited, hoping that we was actually going to score. I kind of felt like I wanted us to win while the game was on.
Yeah.
And yeah, putting it into perspective now, Sunday, guaranteed, Crystal Palace are going to beat Villa, we're going to beat Sheffield United, and we could have actually gone fourth.
Yeah, I mean, it could work out in that situation. So now looking in hindsight, would you have preferred us to win?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, as much as I don't want Arsenal to win the league, I feel like it's time that we get to the point where we kind of don't worry about what Arsenal are doing. We just let them do them and we kind of focus on us. I feel like that's how we become a bigger club and we start winning.
So, I mean, what's made you change your feelings from before the game to after the game?
Looking at the table after the game, really, to be fair, putting it into perspective.
What did you make out of Ange's comments post-match, saying that the last 48 hours have shown the fragility of the club inside and out? What do you think he's talking about, and what do you make out of him?
So, obviously, I think fans kind of went a bit crazy with it. like I say, I agree. I didn't want Arsenal to win the league. So now that that's kind of done, I'm happy. But yeah, I think fans really shouldn't be doing that, especially the fan who was in the stands. From what I heard, basically he was telling Lance to throw the game. So things like that. Nah, I can't really say that that's a good thing to do. In terms of inside the club, I feel like that's a mentality change for everybody, from playing, from the players on upwards.
Yeah, I mean, if Villa do go and get a point on the last game of the season, will you feel a bit better about yourself?
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Yeah, it's just one of those weird
Can I also,
situations, isn't it? Go on.
Come on.
yeah. Can I also just say, I was speaking to my mate last night, and he was saying, if one of you boys have a look at Arsenal versus Aston Villa in both games this season, they dropped 6 points. So
Yeah.
I would argue that they threw away the title to make sure we didn't get top 4.
I like the spin on the narrative. I love that.
Exactly. They're concentrating on us too much. That's
Exactly.
the issue.
On Son's miss yesterday, that 1-on-1, does he become a signed and sealed Tottenham legend after that?
Absolutely, of course he does. I mean, against any other team, he puts it away.
Yeah.
So 100%, he's got to go down in folklore for Tottenham now. Has to.
Did he do it on purpose? That's the question.
I'd like to say no, but I feel like he kind of did.
You feel like he did? You feel like he actually missed that chance on purpose?
I feel like it. I feel like he's a fan of Tottenham, just like the rest of us.
Yeah.
True. He can't stomach Arsenal winning the league, 100%.
Exactly.
Well, Ez, onwards and upwards, eh? We'll make Champions League next season, won't we?
Fingers crossed. Big signings, get rid of all the deadwood, and we'll see where we go from there.
Thanks for coming on, my friend.
Cheers, Ez.
Thank you, boys. Take it easy.
Cheers. Have a good one. So that's an interesting one, actually, where kind of feelings changed, because we kind of alluded to it a little bit. Maybe our feelings didn't change as much as Ez, but I can understand where he's coming from.
Yeah, maybe there's a bit of regret looking at the ability that we could get top 4, but I don't know. I understand where he's coming from, but for me, it is what it is at this point, and I've accepted that we've lost, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, me too, especially at the hands of Arsenal not winning the title. But our next caller, we spoke to him before the game. He was very firm on his stance. Let's see what he has to say about it today. He goes by the name of Budge. How you doing, mate?
Mate, I'm gutted. I'm absolutely gutted.
What are you gutted about, mate?
Well, I was sitting here last night with a beer, hoping, above all hopes, that we'd take a nice early lead and then lead to the 90th minute and then lose. Just so that I could spend the rest of today or today watching AFTV, because it's the best comedy show on.
Was that Son going through one goal not enough for you?
It did. Well, it was. Yeah, that was a highlight, actually. I think it should be shown on the screen every game the next season. You know, just showing it over and over at half time.
When Arsenal come to the Tottenham Stadium next season, they just put it on the big screen in that pre-match that pre-match video they do. Just have the Son miss and just like
should be on the programme as well.
Should be on the programme, 100%. What do you feel like? What do you feel about Andrew's comments then? Because there's a lot of bit has been made of them since the final whistle yesterday. He's clearly not happy with the situation. A lot of people are saying he's right. He's calling out the weak mentality in the club and the fan base. But other people think he's going over the top. What do you reckon?
Well, to be honest, I haven't actually seen it yet. Because, like I said to you yesterday, I'm up early for work, so I've just got in from work, so I haven't actually seen any of that yet. But
I'll give you a quote. He was asked about the foundations he's building at Tottenham after the game. Obviously, we had a good performance yesterday. And he said, is today's performance evidence of the foundations you're building? And he said, based on what I've seen over the last 48 hours, the foundations are very fragile at this football club, both inside and outside the club. So what do you think he means by that? And do you think he has a right to feel that way?
I suppose from a professional point of view, his professional point of view, he's got a right to say that sort of thing. Um, and to be fair, we've seen the fragilities of the team and the squad throughout the season, haven't we? I mean, we had
Yeah.
that brilliant start. You know, I think the start has really done us because we had such a good start. Our expectations rose so quickly that we all we all thought top four's nailed on, blah 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 blah. But then the Chelsea game happened, as quite often it does, like it did, and things went all bandy from there, didn't they?
Did you have any good banter at work today? You were talking about the kid that came up to you and say, "Oh, we need you
Yeah.
guys to win." What happened today at work?
I didn't get any interaction with the kids, but one of my colleagues is an Arsenal fan, and he started on the later shift. And outside the school today, the house right outside the school, they had some sort of what do you call it? A water main burst.
Oh, okay.
So all the water was pouring down their drive, down the street, and round the corner. And when my colleague came to work today, I texted him when he was on his way and said, "Be careful of all the water coming down the hill on your way in, mate. I think it's Arsenal tears."
Just one final question before we let you go. There's a lot of Spurs fans coming out today on social media, on the light, saying it's embarrassing to want your own team to lose. What would you say to them?
There's circumstances, isn't there? There's a lot of things you do in life that are embarrassing, but sometimes you have to do them.
Yeah.
All right, you have to do them, and nobody ever, if you're a proper Spurs fan or any football team, you never want your team to lose. But there's got to be a situation where you would prefer if they did.
Yeah.
Isn't
Yeah,
there?
I understand that. And I'm in agreement with you, Budge. But yeah, once again, thanks for coming on, my friend.
No worries. Good luck, guys. Have a great summer, and we'll speak again next season.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Thanks
Have a
a lot,
good summer,
Budge.
my friend. Up the
Cheers, bud.
Spurs.
Come on, you.
Big up to Budge. I agree with him wholeheartedly. And expect some fireworks now, because look who is coming on. Doesn't look like a happy bunny now. He goes by the name of KPV.
Hello.
You right, KPV?
No.
What do you want to talk about, my friend?
I'm getting sick of it. I'm not having it anymore. I don't care. Like, Arsenal fans wanted us to win. I don't give a toss. Like, even Real Madrid were cheering us on yesterday. I saw Real Madrid fan who did Bellingham profile picture. They are the ones that beat Real Madrid, Man City in the Champions League, and they got lucky. City got lucky, man, because I saw something on Twitter. The boy was offside in the build-up to Haaland's first goal and should have been disallowed. I saw it, and yeah, he scored. He's now the second Man City player to score in N17. De Bruyne was the last one. I got it right, and so now they win again. Like Vicario was failed in the FA Cup game, and now they've scored 3 goals at the new stadium. Like ridiculous. And the fan that told Ange to throw the game, "You're a disgrace, mate. 2-1. Get the fuck out of the stadium. Stay out of it. Never come back." Like, I don't want to hear it, man. Ridiculous. And it is embarrassment. Own fan base want us to lose. Well, then go support someone else then. You're a disgrace. I don't like it, man. Like,
What would you
if
have
this
been
was in
saying this morning, KPV, if Arsenal fans were bantering you, saying we handed them the title?
then I don't know. I'll probably just say, "And well done, and well done." You watched the video with Expression and Cheeky Sports Show before the North London Derby in 2018 at Wembley when Expression called it a Spurnabel and Joel Cheeky Sports Joe said it's Wembley where Arsenal shows and we don't. That video Expressions had "Jeez" on his shirt and I watched it and I don't care because I've got many Arsenal mates and they want to do them a favour like in '99 like I don't really care about it. But next season, this game will be in February or March. And mm, Mute.
So
Can whoever's in the back end mute?
I muted. I pressed it. Like, this game better be in August because we've beaten them there like 5 times actually. Champions League and 4 times in the Prem. So 5 wins. They've got 2. So yeah, they've only scored 3. We've scored about 5 or 6 or 7 goals. So Storm has scored in 4 of them. One last season was not the Prem. It was Harry Kane broke the record. So but if Kane was here, we would have won that game, and Toby would have probably scored in the game. It would have been a win. But yeah, delusional people. So you're all delusional, blood. Like, and so, but anyway, on to Sunday. And how good was Dragusin, people? Tell me,
Brilliant.
how good was he?
Absolutely brilliant.
Spot
Absolutely
on.
brilliant.
And you could have changed the lineup a bit. You could have put my girlfriend on the right wing, and you could have put me in goal because I saved a penalty once.
That's
I
why we
saved
didn't
the
want you
penalty.
in goal. You were too
Exactly.
good in goal.
You
You
would
were
have
too
saved
good for the
Haaland.
I could
lineup.
save penalties, mate. I could save penalties. I would have saved Haaland's 10, and I
That's
We
not
don't
put
fair.
you.
care.
We put you up front, mate. You were going to score a goal.
Yeah, and I could play both positions, mate. So doesn't matter. But anyway, on to Sunday, and then we got the Euros. So I'll see you all hopefully. And Tim, please next season let me come on a panel show, mate, because I'm still waiting for that. You can't have the same people on.
Why me? Why are you pointing at me?
You always do it. You and Ben do a panel show with
Yeah.
everyone.
Me and
And
Ben.
Sim,
exactly.
let him on. Come
It's
on.
not
What are
me.
you doing?
I'm not the one. So I don't make all the decisions around here.
Well, you're gonna, mate, because otherwise, you know what's gonna happen. There's
What?
gonna be consequences.
What are the consequences? Oh God.
Well, mate, I don't care, but yeah, on to Sunday, and then we got the Euros, and then Tottenham have Newcastle, I believe, in a friendly. Is that next week? Is it?
Yeah, 3 days after the season finishes, isn't it?
Jesus! At least it's not at St James's Park. It's at somewhere else. So
Yeah, it's in Melbourne.
Oh, so is it in Melbourne? Is it Australia?
Angie's
Jeez.
hometown.
Well then, time to get a bit of revenge and beat them. Like, anyway, we're not gonna, like, as I said to Brian and Johnny on their Twitter space before we lost 6-1, I said we would lose, and I got it right last year. So, no more 6-1. Again, not this time. We went 4-0 down, and I am still fuming, but we can't lose 5 games, and we've only lost 6. So, it's
KPV,
fine.
I've got one big question for you that the chat want to know.
What is it?
It's, do you have a date tonight?
Fortunately not, mate, but I do tomorrow, and
Come on.
I have to wait even longer to get Katie to ring. Apparently, she has to wait even longer. Apparently, she has to save up for it. But I'm hoping to propose, and then you lot can come because I have to wait even longer. But I found one on Amazon. It's only $9.99. But yeah, I want to get it and ask her. Then yeah, you lot can come and bring Ashley with you, Ben. Please bring Ash with you, mate. I'd like. It would be nice to meet her, mate. It would be nice.
So I get a +1, do I?
Yeah, bring your missus with you, mate.
I will
And
do.
make sure you do, mate. It would be nice. But anyway, people, I'm off to let the dogs out, and I'll be back on Sunday. You two are going to be in the studio, so everyone expect fireworks. I'm out.
Who let the
and-
KPV out? Daigle did. Daigle did.
All right, boys. If there's anyone, then good luck. If there isn't anyone in the chat background, then Benetton have got some stuff to do. And enjoy watching Newcastle beat Man United and Brighton Chelsea. Big up, Sammy, mate. See you, mate.
Nice one, Carl. Good to see you.
Le Boss.
La Bosch.
See you later, KPV. Do we have anyone else? No. All right. That brings an end then to the stream for you guys. I want to say thank you for everyone coming to join us. Thank you, everyone, for the callers as well. We'll see you all very soon. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.